Nearly half of voters want President Trump impeached and removed from office. That's according to a new Fox News poll. 6 in 10 also believe the president did ask foreign leaders to investigate political opponents. President Trump tweeting this morning, quote, "All-time high for stock market, and all the fake news wants to talk about is the impeachment hoax." Joining us now is former White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci. It's good to have you back here.
It's great to be back.
You predicted accurately that things would heat up for the president last time you were here, but you also predicted that at some point Republican leadership would go to him and he would resign. Can you update us on where you stand on that?
So unfortunately, I got that part of it wrong. I was counting on levels of valor and patriotism from my fellow Republicans, so we didn't necessarily get that yet. And so unfortunately now it's going to be the millstone of approval ratings and polling data for the president. And so he's had a terrible month. I mean, he went from 43% of that Fox poll to 49 in terms of people that want him impeached and removed from office. I mean, sorry, that's the aggregate. He was 52 in the Fox poll, down to 49. But the other two polls, MSNBC, NBC, Wall Street Journal, they're all at around 49%. So listen, we're going to get that up, and I predict that's now going to have to go to 60. And when it's 60, the Republicans will cut and run. It's a shame, to be candid with you, because when you talk to these people privately, and the last time that I was here, when you talk to elected Republicans privately, they can't stand the president. They know the president is a lawless person and basically a criminal, and so they are just afraid of him. And so unfortunately, political expediency is ruling the roost as opposed to patriotism. And that's a sad part of where we are in the state of affairs in the United States right now. So my prediction now is we're going to get that number from 49 to 60, and basically you're delayering levels of a cult right now, and so that's what's basically happening. A lot of people are locked in and fortified. The president tries to shame people. He'll bully people. Remember, you have to be 100% loyal to him, like he's David Koresh or Jim Jones from the Jonestown Kool-Aid Punch. If you're not 100% loyal to him, he flips out. Your former colleague and my friend Ed Henry, I mean, he bashed him 19 times on Twitter that one weekend when he asked that benign question to Mark Levin. So that's where we are right now, and so this will eventually happen. There's no way this guy's going to make it. You probably saw the Jared Kushner information related to Khashoggi and the journalist. There's more stuff coming out. Over the next 3 weeks, there'll be a waterfall of illegality and lack of fitness to serve issues hitting the president.
And something else we've talked about is who could be a viable alternative. Because the other reason it seems that Republicans have stood by the president is because he supports their agenda, right? They have stuff they want to get done, and so they've held their noses, it seems, over a lot of these alleged misdeeds to get that agenda through. So if he's not going to be the one to get the agenda through, doesn't there have to be a viable alternative? Well,
I mean, that unfortunately, when we were talking back in August and September, had the Republicans moved, I mean, they got the goods. They know forget about the transcript. We're talking about legitimate, honorable Americans that have actually, under oath, testified before the Congress. They have the goods on the rank illegality and the lawlessness. And so they could have moved. They could have said, okay, listen, it's not going to work for you. We're going to pinch 20 senators and we're going to blow you out of here. The stink of the president would have lasted a little while, but not that long. I mean, they're overestimating his power of intimidation, and they're underestimating how good they could be post his departure.
You brought up the transcripts. The first ones have just been released, although we don't have the headlines that are coming out of them. But let me ask you this, because we always introduce you as the former White House communications person, but you're also a highly respected investor. And we're watching these markets, and the president tweeted about this earlier. Well, we're at record highs. So as we go to, forward into 2020, doesn't this kind of give the president the kind of cachet to keep going forward?
Okay, so again, I'm running $11 billion. I've been a market participant for 31 years. You're at all-time highs for a number of different factors, but the major factor is the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve has lowered rates 3 times. They're in the process of purchasing assets, and so that is a levitating effect on the markets.
$360 billion.
But what we have to be worried about when you look forward into 2020 is an earnings recession. There's only so much that you can peel from the current earnings environment in terms of share repurchase and dividend increases and things like that. And so if you're telling me that we're going to get another layer of multiple expansion and the market's going to go up another 25%, so you're going to move multiples from 18 times forward multiples to 20 to 20 and a half times forward multiples, That is possible because, anything can happen in our markets. But what also has been happening over the last year, Adam, is you've had unbelievable market volatility. You saw the market go from November 15th of last year to December 31st, down 14 and a quarter. It zigged back up 17 and went down 6.5 in May. The market's moving like Donald Trump's signature. And so real market participants know that there's a liquidity crisis in the market. There's a lack of principal capital. The Volcker rule pulled out about $450 billion of principal. And so you have a lot of algorithmic traders. And yes, the market is trading up. The volume is not terrific if you look at the volume where the market's trading up. But yes, the economy's doing well. And I predict that you won't have a recession going into next year. So this won't be a market judgment. This will be, is somebody in the United States above the law? If Donald Trump is above the law,
now, the court ruling today already said on the tax returns, no, the president's not above the law.
Yes, Brian has a question.
Who deserves most of the credit here for this rally? Is it President Trump or is it the Federal Reserve? I mean, just playing on the other side of this, President Trump is overseeing record low unemployment.
No, listen, I'm an objective guy. What I will give the president credit for, the reason why the unemployment is so low is that he cut the illegal immigration at the border by 85%. I don't like the way he did it. I don't like the separation of the women and the children, putting the children in the cages. I think that was ridiculous. But he did cut the illegal immigration. And so what ended up happening is he tightened the labor market, took all the slack out of the labor market. It's the main reason why the bottom 10% of the wage earners experienced a 5.4% wage increase. I want to give the president credit on that. The president also delayered, from a regulatory perspective, a lot of the regulation in the industries. Give him credit for that. He's taking down aspects of the administrative state. Give him credit for that. He's botched the trade deal. The investment capital numbers have been negligible for the last 3 quarters. That'll eventually show up in the economy because what we recommended to him was that he ratcheted up 2% a quarter for 10 quarters. He could have gotten to trade parity with the Chinese, and he could have done it without a disruption in the supply chain for everybody. He would have prepared business leaders, large and small, for the anticipatory tariffs. He didn't do it that way. And so yeah, there's a mixed bag, but he certainly does deserve credit for where we are unemployment-wise. This is not about that. This is he above the law or is he not above the law? If you want to say, let me hold my nose, we're going to accept somebody that's supposedly above the law because the economy is going well, we can do that. And, I would say to my Democratic friends out there, I mean, come on, you can't pick somebody like Elizabeth Warren. Because you pick somebody like Elizabeth Warren, he survives this impeachment inquiry and doesn't get removed from office, which I predict he will, meaning he'll get removed from office. Absolutely believe that'll happen by March. But let's say he was able to survive it, because I get paid when I'm wrong, right? I'm a money manager. We get wrong a lot. If he does survive it, and they put up Elizabeth Warren, he'll beat Elizabeth Warren. If we just look at the polling numbers today, I'll give you a good example of that.
Okay, really quick.
I want to be objective.
Really quickly, there's so much to dig into there, but I want to ask you about the Political Action Committee that you're reportedly starting, as of January. Give us some details on that, and what exactly how are you going to deploy that money?
I put the paperwork together. I'm in the process of raising the assets, so I'll make an announcement early January, number of assets that we've raised and where we're going to target the thing. I've been visiting 2 swing states a week for the last 10 weeks. I was in Ohio and Michigan. I was in Saudi Arabia last week, but the week prior to that, I'm heading to Florida tomorrow afternoon. And so I'm going to do 2 swing states a week. There's 11 swing states, and we're going to specifically target primarily suburban voters to explain what the president's doing actually to their children. Okay, you can't have somebody that's lawless at the top of the food chain who's supposed to be the #1 law enforcement official in the United States. And so there's many, many layers. I mean, the bullying is one layer, the cult-like behavior, the repetitive lying, all of this sort of stuff. I think suburban women in particular, they don't really like it very much. If you suppress that vote, he loses the election. And so for me, it's a very targeted and very surgical thing that I'm doing.
Gotcha.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.